Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's live session. My name is Mohit Jain, and I am the founder of GoWise Investment Platform. So, today we'll be talking about a very interesting topic with a special guest, Ahan Rajgaur. So, Ahan is a crypto analyst at a VC firm, Lightbox. He has been into this industry for quite a few years and has a lot of real insights and interesting topics to discuss. Today we'll be talking about what is DeFi. So DeFi is nothing but decentralized finance. How can you get into crypto investments? What are the best strategies? Is crypto really bubble? Like, will it uh, fulfill the promises of the that it's being promised about, the insane returns that everyone is talking about? What will happen? What is the technology working behind it? So we'll be talking about all these things in today's webinar. The webinar will last anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes. We'll also have a brief question answer session at the end. So I won't waste everyone's time, and I would immediately invite Ahan on the stage and ask him to give a brief introduction about himself, and then we can start today's session. Hey Ahan, how are you?
Hey, doing well. Hey, Mohit. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Sure, our pleasure.
So, just to give you an introduction. So, I've been involved. I got involved in the cryptocurrency space my senior year in college, which was 2019, late 2019.
Mhm.
Obviously, started by buying a little bit of Bitcoin, and the first book I read was The Bitcoin Standard by Seth Dean Amos. I think he laid out a very strong use case for Bitcoin, especially for me. And obviously, from there, wanted to learn more about other projects and get involved. And I had a very close friend of mine in college who was able to also expose me to the technical side of things as he was working on building a miner and various other platforms that he's currently working with. So sort
Mhm.
of that got me really involved and able to learn things from a developer side standpoint as well, and also learn things from sort of the investment standpoint from what he was looking at. Obviously, still learning from the developer standpoint, still learning on investments as the space is extremely early. But yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
I think everyone is learning in the space. A lot of things are being like developed right now, and everything is so new, and that is why it's so exciting as well. Like huge opportunities out there in this space right now.
Yeah, and also, so like a lot of people, think about it as a get rich quick scheme. However, there's a
Mhm.
lot of things happening in the back end. People are developing. I would say that's one of the biggest things. We need to look at the infrastructure still getting built for these platforms, for the projects.
Hmm.
Speaking about just like, you have layer ones, which are your Bitcoin. That's how people sort of get involved. And people have heard about, the NFTs and sort of the DeFi came after that and
Hmm.
so on. And I feel like a lot of people need to understand, like, getting involved from a standpoint is to actually learn first, read about it, and then sort of understand what you're sort of participating in, whether it be investments or whether it be developing, learning different things. An example would be learning smart contracts. So along those lines.
Got it, got it, got it. No, really interesting. I'm super excited for today's session, and I think we have a very excited audience as well. So, before we begin, we move on to other topics that we'll be discussing. I request everyone to just give a brief introduction about themselves. Just say hi in the comment section. Tell us who you are, from which city you belong to, and why, what got you interested in crypto. So just something so that we can also know you a little more. You know who me and Ahan are and what we'll be discussing today, and we would love to know who our audience is today. So moving on, I think we if you can explain what DeFi is to you, and like what all is covered in this amazing wave that is coming, this amazing technologies that are being born and being discovered and delivered to everyone. Yeah, Ahan,
Sure.
over to you.
So the way I started learning about DeFi was obviously I emphasize a lot on Bitcoin. That being said, Bitcoin sort of started as like an individual's fixed supply of non-sovereign digital store of value. That's how it started. And as adoption increased in that, people started gaining sort of attention in 2016 when the halving happened of the supply of Bitcoin. People started getting involved, understanding it a lot more. The prices went really high, came back down. However, since then, we've seen a lot more developments in the space, and any robust and sustainable financial system requires more than just one asset. And obviously, its users need services and products that allow them to also put their capital to work. That's how I look at DeFi. So the need came from the consumers investing in these assets and sort of went obviously from there. And that's what led to the rise of DeFi and the infrastructure being built behind it. Now, the things that obviously come under DeFi is that we have decentralized exchanges, which is essentially they allow you to swap currencies, various cryptocurrencies on their platform. Then you have borrowing and lending platforms. Example would be the MakerDAO that allows you to do it using stable coins as well. That's another application that came out of it, which allows people to convert their crypto into a stable coin built on the blockchain as well. And basically making it easier for you to sort of convert your crypto. And then you also have something that's coming up now is like the insurance part of it. You have options and derivatives platforms. You also have now something else that's come on the infrastructure is the liquidity providing for these decentralized exchanges. That's being talked about a lot recently. And yeah, so as the space continues to gain adoption, I feel like there'll be a lot more needs and wants that people will want, and people will continue building for that as they identify these white spaces. And so that's how I sort of look at DeFi, still very early, still yet to be seen. And one of the other things to look at as well is how easy it is to use these platforms for people just getting involved. It takes a lot of time to understand how to swap currencies on decentralized exchanges, provide liquidity to these exchanges as well. So we're still in the early stages.
So, Ahan, you spoke about a lot of terms over here. So, if we can just break some of the most important ones, like I think stablecoin as a concept is really interesting, which not a lot of people know about. I think because
Mhm.
everyone has just looked at it from an trading perspective, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, or Shiba Inu, Dogecoins. So, what is a stablecoin, and how is it useful in the whole ecosystem?
So a stable coin is a type of cryptocurrency whose value is tied to a stable asset, such as like the US dollar or the euro. Initially, we tied the fiat currency when we had the gold standard. And so this is something that's tied to the US dollar, is like the peg is to 1:1 ratio. And you have various stable coins, Terra being one of the most popular ones, DAI as well. And what stable coins allow people to do is when before they were there, you would have to leave your position in a certain investment. Say you'd want to transfer Bitcoin to, you'd have to convert it to your fiat currency, which would obviously be
Hmm.
higher in fees. And it wasn't on the blockchain. You're basically converting from a decentralized asset to a centralized fiat currency. Stable coins made it much easier. They allowed people to just swap into a different currency and basically broke down the process and simplified it once you get involved in the space and you understand how it works.
Got it, got it. So even when I came across stablecoin, it was a really fascinating concept to me, and so I could visualize so many amazing opportunities which opened up due to stablecoins, and so much could be done over here. So like now me as an Indian, I can also diversify my wealth and like peg against for against US against INR rather, and hold some of my wealth in US dollars, which was not earlier feasible without
Yeah.
cryptocurrencies. Got it. So also like insurance, like you mentioned that insurance can also be done in DeFi. So that sounds a little weird to me because insurance agencies have existed for sorry, not millennial, centuries definitely. And how does that take place in the DeFi? Like, can someone who does not have a lot of credit history or is not part of the ecosystem, will they be applicable for these insurance policies, or how does that work? Like, even I would like to know it personally.
So one of the things that we got to understand that cryptocurrencies allows people to be get involved in a financial ecosystem globally. There's no credit score required. There's obviously there's not that many barriers to entry as there is in traditional finance. And uh, bringing coming back to the point of insurance, it's insurance still is extremely early, and the need for it is there is because the building of these platforms, these DeFi protocol platforms, it's still very early, and they're built on smart contracts. And obviously, some people, as you build these smart contracts, you make mistakes. There's certain issues. Obviously, there's two sides to that. One is that the decentralized insurance allows users to provide insurance to other users. Whereas here you have, again, it takes out the centralized entity. Whereas in traditional finance, you have to go to, say, insurance company, or you go to an insurance platform like Policy Bazaar, and you purchase your insurance specific to what your requirements are. However, in this, it's still early, and the only way you get insurance over here is by sort of getting your cover amount, registering with a platform. In this case, we can talk about Nexus Mutual, which offers smart contract custody, default loss, smart contract failure. So if any of those issues were there, you can claim your insurance back in terms of the cryptocurrency that you invested in, the asset that you might have lost. And it's completely peer-to-peer, completely decentralized, which sort of enables a lot people across the board to participate in it. And recently also, the active cover amount has increased over a period of time, currently stands at anywhere between 600 and 700 million. And so this is on the Nexus Mutual platform alone. Obviously, there are a few other platforms like Open that are in the decentralized insurance space. And so you're yet to see people actually be able to use this. The first step I would think is that people actually need to get familiar with using DeFi platforms, need to get familiar with understanding how they operate, registering a wallet, also simple as that. How to store your 24-word or 12-word secret code phrase. I always recommend to people to write it down instead of keeping a digital copy, obviously, to keep it safer. So I feel like these are the first steps into actually getting involved. And once people get more familiar with it by educating themselves, it gets easier for them to get involved in the insurance part, the borrowing and lending, and liquidity providing as well.
Got it. Got it. Fair enough. So we are having like questions in the comment section also. So Naker Kinjal, we'll be taking up the questions at the end of the session, and you just continue with the topics right now. So I think Ahan described DeFi wonderfully. Just another keyword that I think if people do not know what it is, then it is very important for them to understand the concept of smart contracts. So very briefly, if you can explain what a smart contract is and how it is central, like to the permissionless DeFi that is being built over here, then I think it will be really good for the audience.
So to give a example, in smart contracts, in DeFi, smart contracts replace the centralized financial institution in the transactions. A smart contract is the type of account that can hold funds, that can send or receive them as well, based on certain conditions that are preset. And once a smart contract is live on the blockchain, in this case, if you were to all this is coded into the smart contract. And once it goes live on the blockchain, it'll always run as programmed. And the fact that people are sort of using this right now just for transactions and being able to like easily transact just using that makes it completely borderless. You can do transactions from one country to the other, which makes it extremely easy. And replacing a centralized entity, in this case, a sender and a receiver's entity could be different, right? Which both get their fees. However, this institutionalized into one and completely decentralized. And another fact of that is that another positive aspect, sorry, about that is that it's completely transparent. Everybody has access to the transaction that you can see on the blockchain, which makes it permissionless, transparent, interoperable. Also, in certain cases, we're seeing DeFi platforms being able to swap layer one assets with layer two assets, and this is all in the early stages, so like yet to be sort of experimented and built with. And another thing we're seeing on the use cases of smart contracts is companies building auditing firms just to audit smart contracts, which is going to be a need in the future as well. People are going to need other people to audit their smart contracts in order to ensure that it's running properly, so the platform avoids the hacks, avoids any of those later issues that happen. And having those continuous audits sort of helps with platforms continuously growing, becoming increasingly secure, and also sort of educating people as to how they work from that standpoint.
Got it, got it, got it. Really interesting. So smart contracts are just, if like in simple terms, programs, computer programs which can execute themselves when some conditions are met beforehand. So just imagine you
Correct.
don't need a government or a central authority like a bank or an insurance company to execute something. Like you owe someone, and if the conditions are met, if something you have not fulfilled it, then the collateral will automatically get liquidated to the lender. So all these things are like it just blows my mind every day when I am involved in this space, that so many insane things can happen. And this is definitely this power, like cryptography, basically computers and a strong mathematical logic is what convinced me personally that this is here to stay. Like everything can go away, but the maths and the science behind it is so strong that if a certain percentage of people believe in this, this will definitely stay and will be a very important asset class for the future generation. So now coming to the most important question of the webinar, like is crypto a bubble? Like will this just go away, fizzle out? Like is it an MLM scheme, like a lot of people say, like multi-level marketing? Is it a Ponzi scheme that just some people, rich people, are just creating to generate more and more wealth? And will it just vanish away, or is it here to stay? So, Ahan, we would love to have your opinion on this. And why do you believe that if crypto will stay or it will not stay, then why so?
I don't believe that it is in a bubble or there's anything happening there. I do believe that there are a lot of long-term use cases for a lot of the assets that are there currently in the market. There are a lot of there's more happening on the developer side, and a lot more needs to happen on that side for it to be a more secure asset and for people to be
Hmm.
able to be easily onboarded as well. Obviously, we've seen Bitcoin stand the test of over 10 years now, and we're seeing that the economics behind it is working as well. People getting attracted as a store of value, being able to hold it like digital gold rather than hold physical gold as well. And I do believe that the more people learn about this, the more people read, do your own research, of course, before investing in anything. I highly recommend that. Do not get involved in anything that you do not understand. And the best way to do is also by learn by doing. So obviously
Hmm.
be comfortable with the amount of capital you're willing to invest, the projects that you're looking at, the platforms that you plan to use. Go through all the conditions also initially. Because I feel like this being so early, it's important for people to understand what they're getting involved in. And if they actually do believe that there is use cases for it. And I believe that I like to read about projects, learn about them, and build conviction to have long-term visions of what those projects can do. And that's how I would look at sort of majority of the cryptocurrency space in general. Yeah.
So, An, how do you usually do your research? Like, like everyone would like to know that, like a certain coin comes up in the market, and or a certain project comes up in the market, and it's very difficult to separate the buzz and the substance from what is happening. Because if more people are talking about it, does not mean that it is necessary to succeed, right? So how do you differentiate, how do you do your own research so that others can also follow a similar mental model around it?
So some of the things, first thing I would obviously do is read the white paper. So every project, every
Hmm.
available project has a white paper that they've created before launching. I would highly recommend everyone to go through that. There's some are long, some are short, but it's definitely worth the read because you get to understand what the entire platform is, build your own sort of thesis behind why you may think, why you may not think it would work.
Hmm.
Obviously, I listen to some of the podcasts that I listen to is from Modern Finance by Kevin Rose. I think he has some great content that talks about these projects getting built. He has interview with these founders, and also Bankless. Ryan Sean Adams writes a great newsletter on the focus on the DeFi space. Talks about different protocols building on Ethereum. Talks about Ethereum every quarter. And another thing is that looking at the team that is also building the project, like having that conviction in the team that's building it. And I feel like having these sort of points down before you sort of invest in one would actually help you understand whether it's going to be a viable project or whether it's just a Ponzi scheme, right? So obviously do your own research. It does take a lot of time since it's very early, but could be
Hmm.
worth it eventually in the future. Yeah.
Definitely. So if I just have to say all those points again, one, read the white paper. It's definitely on every project's
Yeah.
website, and I usually believe the longer the white paper, the more things they have to talk about, and you should at least read the important parts of it. Second, you recommended to listen to some of the podcasts by
Yeah.
like Modern Finance is one, Bankless is one, and we'll definitely be sharing links on the Telegram group as well, and on our Twitter also. We'll keep finding all these interesting. You can also find Ahan on Twitter. He shares some exciting stuff, and you can definitely follow us so that you can get to know more about all the interesting topics that are going. And third was the team. Like, how credible is the team who build those projects? So as Ahan said, do your own research and don't get caught in the hype and all this promotional marketing which are around those projects, because you never know what actually can be a Ponzi scheme. Like, I personally related to a lot to the internet of 90s, where uh, due to the new technology, good things are coming up. The best companies, Amazon, Google, were also formed, but some companies which were not meant to last long were also formed and just gobbled up investors' money. So, and the thing about crypto is that here the investors are everyday people, like every you and me. Like, we all are investors and not just someone sitting in a corner office with a suit, right? That is what it brings, the power to us, but it also brings responsibility, just like Spider-Man, right? With great power comes great responsibility. So it is our responsibility to check every project and only promote the ones we believe in, and not because we want to earn or like build a multi-level marketing scheme over there. So that they were just my 2 cents on what Ahan had suggested. So definitely doing your own research is very important over here. All right. So, Ahan, if we move on to the next topic, I would just like to know that what biggest challenges did you face while getting into investment in all these crypto projects, or the people usually face, and how can they overcome them? Like, for example, transferring money from fiat to crypto is a big pain, right?
Mhm.
Getting money on chain, buying different tokens is really painful. What other things do people face, and what suggestions do you have for them?
So I believe that some of the problems that obviously I, from a personal experience, I can say that was onboarding myself onto a platform, obviously learning about what I'm buying. I feel like once you
Hmm.
understand how you're buying, and I feel like a lot of the centralized exchanges have that down, easy to onboard the user. Yet, yes, obviously we do have problems with transferring fiat from our bank account to the crypto accounts, and I feel like that problem will get solved eventually as there's more need, the adoption increases, there's more consumers believe that they can actually get involved in it, understand the asset, and also being this is on the centralized entity, the centralized exchanges part. Getting involved in DeFi obviously is a whole different thing. Some of the coins are already listed on the on the centralized exchanges, which is easy to buy. However, there are certain protocols that begin listing their platforms or their tokens on DeFi, on decentralized exchanges. Now, obviously, participating in that becomes a little more difficult, as you need to have, in this case, we can say, a MetaMask wallet, how to set up a MetaMask wallet. The great thing is MetaMask actually educates you about how to do all these things when you go on their website. So it's a matter of actually going on the website, reading and learning. All this content is available. We have the internet to learn from it. It's just a matter of people being able to understand and obviously take your time with anything that you want to get involved in. And these are some of the hurdles I've seen and experienced as well. However, now when we go to the storage part of it, yes, we've heard about wallets getting hacked. Yes, we've heard about, people take reversing smart contract transactions on decentralized exchanges. Yes, that risk is still there. That's because the space is extremely nascent. However, I recommend that if you plan on getting involved in cryptocurrencies and all, highly recommend getting investing in a cold storage wallet, something like a Ledger or a Trezor. Obviously, learning, being able to sort of register an account on that as well is difficult in the beginning. How it was very difficult for me, but as you continue to read and you participate and you do some transactions on it and you understand how it works, it becomes completely easy. And I feel like these companies, example is Ledger, as personal experience using it, I feel like they've created an excellent product in and very easy usability, very easy to understand, and have kept it very straightforward. Now they're sort of integrating other platforms on the cold storage wallet. So I believe that eventually, if you want to keep secure storage of your funds, cold wallets is the way to go. And these cold wallets, obviously still early, they're integrating platforms already, which then it becomes a one-stop shop to do all your swaps, your transactions. Even holding NFTs has become a thing on these wallets as well. And so they're being able to integrate a lot more applications, and the applications protocols are working alongside with them as well. So it's
Got
great
it.
to see, and it's also yet to see like if people sort of adopt. this form of keeping their cryptos.
Interesting. So, like, I personally have not yet explored hardware wallets or cold wallets, as people say, and would definitely like explore. So, what are the companies that you recommended? Ledger, I think, is the most famous one here, right?
Ledger, and there's another one called Trezor.
Okay.
I personally have personal use with Ledger, so I believe that that's a superior product, but you could go, yeah.
Got it. Got it. Very interesting. So, Ahan, what do you think? How is crypto investing shaping up in India? Like, recently, a lot of exchanges have spent insane amounts of money on marketing, right? But as we just discussed, crypto investment is more than what these centralized exchanges are. DeFi, like decentralized finance, is a huge market, like is a huge asset class that is developing. So how do you think India or Asia as a region developing and moving on, and how important will this be in the next 5 or 10 years?
I do think a lot of people are getting involved in investing in cryptocurrencies. However, I do believe a large amount of them, or a decent portion cohort of them, believe that it's a get rich quick scheme. They think that, because coins go up 200%, 300% a day, a week, they believe like, betting on that. They're looking more from a gambling standpoint. I feel like
Mm,
once platforms like need to put a lot more content in terms of educating people, and they are beginning to talk about what, for example, what is Bitcoin, showing sort of bite-sized content, showing some
mm,
videos, writing blogs about it and sharing, like personal people in the space also are sharing their insights about what is happening, how it works. And so I feel like being able to educate the people is one thing, but the consumers also need to have the willingness to learn in order to like get involved and not think of it as like a get rich quick scheme.
right,
And
right.
platforms are currently doing that. They're doing it really well as well.
Interesting. So, yeah, so that is definitely, I second that thought that crypto is way more than a get rich quick scheme. And like protocols like Anchor are out there which are giving a solid return on your investment, a guaranteed return rather than just a 200, 300% immediate hike. So you should definitely try these protocols out as well. So any what are your top like top two interesting protocols that you have tried out till now, or projects which you are really fond of? Again, no investment advice, please do your own research,
Yeah.
but I would just like to know like what are the recently or like top two projects that got you interested.
Yeah, something that's not investment advice, but it's something that I believe that, reading and learning about would be decent in the decentralized exchange space is something that I look at as Thorchain. I believe they're building a good project. It's very interesting. I'm still learning a lot about it, so it's good to read about that. Another project would be again I mentioned the decentralized insurance space is Nexus Mutual. Still reading and learning a lot about it. Obviously, haven't participated, just still learning, which takes a time because you want to read the white paper, you want to understand the back end of how things work. You want to sort of learn about the kind of smart contracts they deploy, the blockchain they use, and all of this takes time to understand. And it's like you should be able to spend your time learning all of these things, which eventually you sort of you can capitalize on it later by investing in the asset or like finding other projects that are building similar. I'm looking at the decentralized file storage space, big fan of that. And some of the projects in that is like Filecoin, you have Siacoin, you have Storj, you have ReWave. So these are sort of some of the platforms that I've just been looking at, researching, understanding what they're building, how it's different from centralized storage, cloud storage. So these are some of the things that I've been looking at.
Got it. Really interesting. So, cool. Moving on to the next. Quickly, again, like I think one advice that you gave was definitely to look past the get rich quick scheme. Do you have any other advice for the people who are willing to participate in this space? And
Learn
then we can
about
we
how to
can
store the
briefly.
crypto.
Sorry.
Learn about how to store your crypto safely, because
Oh,
that's one of the things that people are sort of still like early on, be connecting your wallets on exchanges and leaving it connected. There are obviously applications. When you go on MetaMask, it tells you how to disconnect from certain websites, how to lock your wallet. So the
mhm.
secure storage of your funds is also needed. So I feel like that's like the first step, learning how to use it, keeping it secure, and then sort of being able to go and participate across protocols and platforms.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, keeping your funds safe is, I think, number one job for any investor. And in crypto, it's your responsibility. It's not a centralized service like a bank or any other person's responsibility over here. Cool. So we'll take up a few questions. I can already see few questions out there in the comments. If anyone has any question, they can just type it out in the comment section, and we'll just be discussing on different topics which keep coming up. So, one question that is again really interesting, and everyone should would be definitely curious is uh, being asked by Nakir. He wants to know what is the future potential of cryptocurrency in India. Is it going to boom? And where cryptocurrencies are in the gray area between legality and illegality. So, what are your views? I think we can speak a little bit about the regulations in India and the immediate future potential that is out there.
Uh, when it comes to regulation, obviously the government is working on building like sort of paper on as to how cryptocurrencies would be regulated, how stable coins would be regulated, how
Mm.
NFTs would be regulated, because these are all different products of cryptocurrencies. And do believe that eventually they will sort of create those regulations. They will sort of help the ecosystem grow because it is creating a lot of jobs. It is helping people understand a new technology, participate in it, be maybe early movers in that technology. And so it's yet to be seen what the government does, obviously. Right now, there isn't any clarity on it. So getting involved is still fine because you're seeing these exchanges operate in India. So being able to participate is not an issue. However, the taxation, how what is considered a taxable event, all of these things will sort of come into play once we get more clarity from the government. And that's yet to be seen once they draft their bill.
Got it, got it. But I think we have seen some positive signs from the government that definitely there's not going to be a blanket ban. So your cryptocurrencies will be safe. But some regulations will happen. And I'm really positive from what is happening in the West. Like US is taking a really good stance on cryptocurrencies. And like just a few days ago there was a video that came out that when people want something, when a lot of people want something, even if the government is not really supportive or cannot understand it, it usually ends up happening. Like he had taken an example of Uber, right? The government and all the regulatory bodies wanted to ban Uber, but 50-60 million US citizens just wanted to use Uber for their convenience. So it happened despite all the like resistance from the government. So we have seen the resistance happening in the last 7-8 years. Like Bitcoin has picked up since 2012-13 really well, and I think now the government and the central authorities are also dealing it smartly. So I am really optimistic personally, and being a founder we have to be optimistic at all point of time, and I'm sure as a VC you are also super optimistic about the government taking a good stance.
Yeah, so like that's what we're learning about, right? We're learning on about these different projects, the different verticals in this place, exploring it from a novel standpoint, understanding the different terms. Now you have like what a DAO is. So just to
Yeah.
give you like a decentralized autonomous organization and how like the accountability spread amongst multiple people and not just one person. So small things like that, still understanding what they mean, how they would work, whether there's a future or not for it as well.
Yeah, true. Got it. So, someone in the section has asked, uh, like, if you know anything about Jade Protocol, if you can speak a few words.
So I haven't looked into the Jade protocol. I think I'm not really sure what it does. So I think it's like a DAO. I'm assuming I've read very little bit about it. I think it works as a decentralized VC fund, which has like its own treasury with multiple people invested in it, and they invest the money into these different other protocols, building it. So democratizing investing for for crypto investors to get involved in platforms early on, and this platform sort of gets money in its treasury, sort of spreading out people's risk, also sort of allowing people to get involved in the cryptocurrency space early on and identify, because a lot of people don't identify a lot of the projects early on, and this might help them do that. Haven't looked at it too much, so can't speak a lot about it. Yeah.
But as Ahan gave a mental model about how to do your own research, so definitely read the white paper on Jade Protocol and listen to different podcasts by good established people in the industry who have been there, and then like invest wisely. That's all I think we would recommend. So Sridhar has asked a really good question regarding NFTs. If he's asking if there are no link, if they are not linked to real life examples, where do you see the future for them?
Personally speaking, I see NFTs being utilized a lot in gaming. I seeing people being able in the gaming space. We saw, first you had to pay to play, you had to buy a CD, you had to have a console. Then we went from to free to play games where you could just download the game, test it out, and if you liked it, then you could buy the in-game items. And now people are saying that why not be able to monetize those items? Because as you buy these items and you upgrade your skills while playing the game, why not be able to sell them as an asset as you excel in the game or as you upgrade your characters and build your sort of performance over time. And I see that NFTs being used in gaming, and we're already seeing in a very large company, Ubisoft, launched their own NFTs on the Tezos blockchain called Digits, where they've sort of even a helmet, a weapon, a skin is all as NFT and can be used within the game. And as you play and become better, you can sort of make it a tradable asset, sell it to someone else that someone would want to buy it already on that upgraded level. So it's creating a market for himself within the gaming industry, and also will onboard a lot more new people to that space.
Got it. Interesting. I think metaverse is a very good application for NFTs also. Like when the space is big enough, when a lot of our time is being spent on the metaverse, and definitely in the next 5 years, a huge advancements will be done in VR space. I think then when you're living digitally, you would want to own digital goods, and that is what NFT is about. So that's just my personal opinion, where NFTs can have a potential use case as well. And I think like today only I was reading about NFTs in DeFi space as well, right? Few platforms have come up which are using NFTs as collateral to give you loans. So that is also a really interesting use case which I was very pleased to listen know about. And like you can just Google if you want to put your NFTs as collateral and get a loan against them.
Mhm.
Cool. So I think we can take one more question. So Naket has another he is a little worried about the lack of laws against digital and smart contracts and exchanges of assets that not might be stored at one location. So he's confused. I think lack of regulations is confusing him. So if something you can, what do you see the space for NFT enthusiasts and the regulations over here coming up? Do you have any opinion, like any suggestions?
So obviously, like I said, the government is still working on drafting a bill on how to like classify these assets in terms of taxation, whether it's legal or not to transfer on wallets. And the way it works was like it can be stored in one location. The NFT that you purchase is registered to your wallet address. So when we use our wallet to sign into these platforms, for example, OpenSea, in order to like buy and sell on the platform, you have to sign in through your wallet. And the NFTs that you own in your wallet show up on your profile. So it can be transferred across various exchanges. However, it is stored in one place, which is in your wallet. Now today I can take my wallet and go to Rarible, which is another NFT platform, and log in with my wallet, and I'll be able to sell my NFT on that platform as well. So there's no double selling. It's just registered to your wallet, and the platform you choose to sell it on, it is what once it gets sold on that platform, obviously it gets sold to another address that's registered to that address. Hence, it's not stored at one location, it's stored in your wallet that can be used at various locations.
Got it, got it, got it. Really interesting. I think we won't be able to take up more questions, and so I think we should wrap the session over here. We are on time, as I said. Around 45 minutes would be a sweet spot to have a podcast length for. So just before we end today's session, Ahan, I would love to know your thoughts and what, again, if you have any suggestions or any takeaway from today's session to whoever is watching it out there.
Some of the shots I would share is that obviously do your own research, read. One of the reading recommendations I always tell people is the Bitcoin Standard is the best way to start, because that's how I started my journey and sort of got involved in the space and was able to understand it better. And yes, obviously, start with the amount of capital that you're comfortable with, obviously, because it's early, so there's obviously high risk. Don't think of it as a get rich quick scheme. Think of it as something that there can be long-term usability, long-term applications. It might be able to transform certain centralized application that we use on a daily basis as well. So obviously, that's one of the main things you say, to read, learn, and do your own research.
So coming, I think from research, Lightbox has written a really good blog post on the topic, what is decentralized finance. So I'll just be sharing it in the comment section. Don't read it right now. Do read it after the podcast ends, and share your opinion. You can reach out to Ahan on his Twitter. I'll be sharing his Twitter channel again in the comment section. Just a second. I think you can easily find it. Uh, yes, I found it. So it's Ahan Rajgor. You can just search it on Twitter. He would be sharing more stuff, and definitely follow Wise on Twitter as well. We'll be sharing a lot of stuff, and you don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well, as we'll keep having more and more podcasts. I would love to host Ahan again and talk about a different topic, and like educate as many people as we can. So that's our personal mission, like company's mission, and my personal mission as well, to like enable people in this industry, in DeFi space, by educating them, giving them the right opportunities, and making it easy. So at Wise, our in like motto, our mission is simple: making crypto investments simple for everyone, like, and making it accessible, so that unlike traditional finance where getting in was a little difficult, which was also solved by technology, but decentralized finance is like by design, uh, it should reach to everyone and should be as accessible as possible, and that is what we want to build. So do subscribe to us, do follow Ahan on Twitter, and be connected to this space. It's really interesting, and keep reading more about it. And we would love to have you all again on our channel. And before ending the session, Ahan, thank you so much for taking out the time and like educating everyone, and like sharing like so much knowledge and genuine advice from your side. And like thanks again. We loved hosting you on our podcast today.
Thank you for having me, man. It was great being here.
Thanks everyone. Have a good
Yeah.
night. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.